sucking back the carbon. Good day, welcome back to another video. There are some things disappointing this year, but that's every year. You'll get some things when you're gardening that's widen you out a bit, that are disappointing every year. And then there's some things that just grows like crazy. And of course you've seen this grapevine. There's two grapevines, of course. There's one right here, and then there's one down the other end, and it's just growing like mad. I have this mint here, and the oregano. The oregano is all laid down because we got some rain, and there's a couple of plants that just flops over when it gets rained on, and then when everything dries out it stands back up again. I had to trim back the forsythia again. Kind of looks nice in the screen here now to me. I got it made in a cone. I just took the hedge trimmer and went around, and so that was growing like mad. Cut back this rose bush a bit, and this one, you can see some of the bigger twigs on the ground. That's what the lawnmower didn't pick up, right? I ran over with them, but this one here was way out over here, and I had to cut it way back. I cut, well, at least a quarter of the foliage off of this thing. I mean, it was growing like crazy. I don't know, it's getting lighter. You see, Romeo cherry put on about 6 inches of growth this year. But it's getting later in the year now, and the leaves, branches are starting to go dark, so you can't see as well. But this is Juliet cherry put on a full foot. Maybe I should have done this a couple of weeks ago, but all of these trees have really put on a lot of growth this year. Coming up here, I'm going to have to move this thermometer again out in the middle of the meadow, I guess. I want to see what what the temperature is in full sun, right? So when I planted it here, it was basically full sun, but now I cut back this apple bush that I have here so that I could get around easily. I got the pumpkin vine on the ground, and then the bush was over, so it was hard to get through here. But what I'm saying is now that it's becoming a jungle here, and this thermometer is being shaded, so it's not reading the correct temperature most of the morning. It kind of gets up to the right temperature in mid-afternoon, I think. This cherry plum started growing this year back in here, and now it's grown all the way out here. This is a red mulberry, and it put on a full foot of growth this year. I don't know why there's not many leaves down right there, but we won't worry too much about it. I got to keep the other vegetation more away from this. That spice bush is deciding that it wants to grow now, it seems. These two trees, I think this one started in right here and put on this full branch here this year. And this one, well, this one you can still see where it's still light green here. So you can see how much this one has grown. That damson seems to be looking healthy now. There, you see I haven't gotten to mow this up yet. Here's the trimmings on the ground. I trimmed this bush back again. And this rhododendron, it was only a couple of years ago, it was still quite a small thing. It's starting to grow quite a bit. But along with it, there's a lot of trees growing up around it. It was actually out in an open space all by itself. But these cherry trees that's growing up here, just right in behind the cherry trees, there's a couple of spruce. I'm going to cut down these. These are just normal pin cherries, the little tiny ones. So I'll cut down those couple of cherry trees, and then that'll give the rhododendrons some space again. The rowan berry, mountain ash, whatever the other names are back there. The birds will have lots of berries to eat over the winter. This is the one that grew back from the stump. Remember, the moose almost killed it, but it decided it was going to grow after quite a few years. So it's coming along quite well. Once again, it's starting to darken down these there, and most of somewhere around here it started to grow this year and grew up. The raspberry canes, of course, they grow like mad. It's hard to say. This tree puts out like a foot a year, the cherry tree. This thing is getting huge. I assume when I get these in the ground, they'll take off as well. Now this I'm really happy about. Remember, I just cut it right down. It was pretty much a stump last year, but look at how much shoots this plum tree has put on. I don't know if I'll have to thin out the branches or what. Coming back in behind the cherry tree, something I haven't shown you in a long time, but check this out. So this is a sugar maple, eh? And it has shot out. That V was started last year, but it has shot out a full 2 feet in this growing season, and the growing season is not over yet. But it shot right up this year. Gotta get that cherry tree out of there. Just coming up here because well, I had my chainsaw in the heat and that. I wasn't up doing work in the woods. You see how much the meadow grows up, eh? And yeah, things are growing like crazy. And so we had a cool day there a few days ago. I come up and I said, well, this is what makes me excited, eh? This used to be not all that long ago, just a field. It's mostly aspen, but like I say, it is sucking back the carbon, and I'll find some use for it. There is quite a few cherry trees. I mean, there's a nice big clump of them right there. So when I get my little brush cutter tool, I might just keep the aspen cut down and let the cherries grow up. Because right here is mostly just aspen and cherry. And I guess cherry is one of the primary species, the ones that grows up first around here. So we walk in, and of course, I mean, I showed you up here, I cut out the trees, and I mean, that cherry tree wasn't there. And look how tall it is now. It's up to my chest. I wasn't up here in like well over a month, and I come up, I'm like, whoa! Everything is growing like mad. So this is a bunch of a bunch of birch shoots growing up out of one of the stumps. You see how fast that's going to grow back, eh? Certainly this is another one, I think, yeah. And so this is going to become a force really fast. Now most of this here is, that we're walking past right now, is aspen. So I don't mind, I come up to get the wood that I have cut here with the lawnmower, with the quad, I don't mind running over this. But then I went down here because I have some wood cut over there, and I have some over there, and I have a tree partially cut up there when I decided that I had to bring my saw to the small engine mechanic and try to figure out what was wrong with it, and I don't have the saw back yet. But all of this here, this is cherry. I don't want to run this over because cherry is a very good wood. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is bring the quad in just to the end of where the aspen is, and then take my time and carry out the chunks of wood one at a time. And then I'll cut these other old ones, and next year, with these trees gone, it'll turn just like this. Trees growing up like crazy. Which really excites me. I don't know how good they are with respect to human use. Oh, I got a caterpillar on me. But you see the big huge leaf on these. This is balsam poplar, not aspen. Same family, but a different tree. Now we're trying to go down over right there. So this is what I'm trying to get to. That's the honey locust. So it's starting to take hold. I better get rid of the other little tree that's growing up beside it, but it is up now 2.5 feet, maybe. There's this one. So as long as the moose don't come by and eat it, I assume it'll take hold now. This one here is still quite small, but it's alive. And it should have enough sun to grow for another little bit. There is those two spruce right there, but once that starts growing, it should outgrow a spruce. And then there's this one. The other one, there was 5 here. The other one I killed when I dropped the tree on it. So we got 4 honey locusts is growing here now, starting to take hold and go. See, that's the firewood that I have cut up here, and I didn't get to the end of the tree And there's more up there. But you see, if you let nature go, how well it can really put on the vegetation. And you see those chunks of wood now almost overgrown. I'm going to have to be careful and make sure I get them all. So then I came back to the main trail, which is starting to look like not a trail now. And actually, this is what I was doing when I decided I had to bring the saw over to the small engine mechanic. I was trying to cut up this tree. See, that was a little tiny mountain ash there last spring, a year ago. But check out this. See the thorns on it? That's a black locust. Let's see, I'll turn around the camera. I can see what I'm recording here. But yeah, I'll get up, stand right beside the trunk. So it took right off this year. I guess the moose got that one over there killed. There's nothing growing on that one. But this one put out that big side shoot. So if the moose don't come back and eat on it again, it'll survive. This was the one that I was saying was doing the best. But of course, it didn't grow as much as that other one that I just stood beside. And then I have another one down here that I guess decided it didn't want to grow, and the other one. So, but I have, okay, so I have 3 that are currently really healthy here. And I don't know if I have any more seedlings. I'll start some more for next year. So now we're on the top hill. Underneath that broken off aspen, you see the lighter colored leaves. So that's a Osage orange. It's not growing that fast, but it does come back every year and grow a little bit. There's another one here that is still deciding whether it wants to grow. Now, right there you see that circle of sticks, and there's a little tree growing up there with lighter colored leaves. So that's an Osage orange. And there's another circle of sticks in there. I think the Osage orange is growing there. And that one has put on all new growth this year. The old growth doesn't seem to be doing much. So he's got to get his act together yet. And then of course this one is still doing fine. I think they just grow slow anyway, Osage orange. I don't think they grow very fast. And when I get my saw back and it comes up here, I got to cut down that tree that's leaning over. That's why. In right there, there's one that's doing fine, but there's a tree branch going down over him right now. Then we walk back over here. The mulberry trees, I don't think they like the heat either. They were seen doing so well in the spring, and then when it got really hot, they decided to stop growing. And I'm thinking now that the weather's cooling down again, they'll probably do some more growing. But they're still alive, and we'll see year by year. I mean, if you go back in my videos, I've done several clips of videos up here, and when I planted the black Russian mulberry, this place was pretty much empty, so I could just go straight rows every 15 feet. I think I planted them, and just plant trees in. Not many. I got to give the Russian mulberry another go. They're not doing that well. I think there are some that are alive, but alders, spruce. Here's a couple of those willows. I didn't lose many of the red mulberry, but the Russian mulberry, I pretty much lost them all, so we'll give it another try. I get very happy when I come up here because I want a jungle, and I want a jungle that I can take care of course, but you have to have enough stamina, and then if you don't have the stamina and you can get some kind of a sustainable equipment, like you say, I'm going battery operated, and I think that doing low powered as possible, going with electricity would be better than burning fossil fuels. But I'll be able to, what I'm trying to say is I'll be able to take care of this forest a lot easier with that. And I will have, and then I cut down some trees when I got other trees that I want to plant, like the Russian mulberry or some other kind of fruit tree, and I'll cut out an area and I plant that tree there, right? But until then, I mean, a cherry tree, the wood itself is good for me. The birds eat the berries. I mean, humans can eat the berries too, but they're little tiny trees, they're little tiny fruit, and it's just one of those things that are not worth the time and effort to go and pick. See, here's another red mulberry right there. I don't know why the leaves are so light. Is that just the way they're supposed to be? I mean, every one of them, the leaves are light, so I'm assuming that that's just the way they're supposed to be. Another one. This one seems to have done very well this year, and probably because it's partially shaded and not so much in the heat. This one's still struggling. Perchberries, I'm checking on them. In the past, of course, we used to just wait until frost or two to pick perchberries, but the birds don't do that. They just wait for them to get ripe and then they eat them. And if I wait for a frost, then I'm going to come up here and there's no perchberries for me. So, I don't know, I guess maybe a couple weeks time I might be able to get some perchberries. And right there, that's another Osage orange. So they're very slow growing trees and very hard wood. Not much of a change over here on this side. It's the soil is pretty much clay and rock mixed. Now we can count 1, 2, 3. That's 3 red mulberry. I thought there was one on this side, but the way the trails are here, the moose might have come by and kept it ate down. I'm not seeing one any on this side now. So hopefully the moose don't eat on those three and they grow. So the bog is down right there. I have to get some more trees. I have some spice bush plants that I'll put up here. I have Siberian pea shrub. I don't know what else I have. But yeah, things are growing up really well here, and oh, that's one that I planted here. It's got darker leaves. I wonder if it's a Russian mulberry. But that's a mulberry tree right there. Somebody had come up there on quad by the looks of it. But yeah. So that's another mulberry tree. What I was thinking about doing, see, taking those grapevines and planting them at the base of this clump of birch trees and that clump over there, and see what they do. Alders are growing up here in the pathway because I haven't been coming out here. Getting pretty thick. I kind of got to keep this open though, because I do, as far as I can tell right now, I still need to be able to walk ahead and take the quad and do some work with the quad until I figure out some other way. And now, from here on, I've given them permission that they can skirt the edge of the bog and take this trail here, so they can go out to the main road. And then we're back to, of course, this is all the black spruce that really don't grow. Grows at a snail's pace. I don't know how fast things would grow up once I get back to this point and start to work with it, right? Like, it's black spruce growing there, but if I were to cut down some black spruce and plant in, say, black locust, how fast would black locust grow here? That is a very good question, I guess. Depending on how fast I get to it, some year we might be able to find out. I could really just take one and plant one there, right, like this fall. It's a rabbit lead. He uses it every year. But there's still room. I could plant a black locust outside of it right here, and he'd still have his lead. But yeah, that's what I wanted to show you in this video, how the trees were doing, and the excitement of how you seen me cut that, how I had that forest cut down and all the old trees cut out, but how fast it's actually coming back into a forest again. And it is cause for excitement, because I have to get firewood, and then all of that tree. So if you're into wanting to draw back carbon, in my opinion, a managed forest is the best way to do it. We take what we need, not what we want. Don't go and just destroy the place. And then you plant back. So if you have a big property, plant back useful trees, and let nature take its course, because there's a lot of seeds in that seed bank, and you give it some light and up they spring. So you take the trees that you need, put the branches up in the piles like I've been doing, and all those seeds that have been laying there will spring up like crazy. Now, as far as the material in the branches, in those leaves and that, the small mammals, you've made an habitat for small mammals, and they will be going back and forth. They will eat some of those leaves and the twigs, and of course then the droppings, they'll spread that all through the forest. So if you have a habitat pile every so far, then you can get in there easy enough to take care of it. You've returned some of the habitat that you would have destroyed by taking out the old trees. And you've got the forest growing at its max all the time. So you're sucking back carbon like crazy. Right now, you're just walking out back. They are working on the last 2 days. They're smoothing out the rough parts of this road and cutting back the alders, because the alders were growing right in over the road. And somebody come back here in car and was just brushing their vehicles on both sides, right? Thank you for listening to my talk about the forest and coming with me on this walkabout. Leave me a comment, tell me what you think of it, and come back for the next video, and we shall talk to you then. Goodbye.